In order to discuss the scheduling module in Prognosis, I'm going to click on the Appointments tab and select Schedule. Now, as the schedule opens, you'll notice that we are looking at an entire week's worth of appointments. This is a setting that you can locally define based on preferences. If we notice right here at the top above the calendar area, we can choose a daily view, which would show one day at a time, and allows us to choose a specific provider within the practice and/or location for that provider. We could then choose weekly view, which was our default. That also allows us to choose a singular provider at a time and per location for that provider. And then we also have a view option called Custom Views. Custom Views gives us an opportunity to see all of the doctors in the practice or a combination of doctors based on the locations that they service. Any of these views can be toggled between throughout the day. It does retain in memory the view you are looking at until you change it, however. So for our training video, I'm going to leave it on the weekly view. Now, just looking at the anatomy of our schedule page, in the upper left, we have a Search Appointments For with a drop-down list and a lookup binocular. The scheduling module supports two types of appointments. We have patient appointments and we have other. The binocular invokes a search based on the type that we've chosen. So for instance, I have filtered it to look for other. The binocular is going to show me a list of non-patient appointments. Now this comes from a user-defined list of appointment types, such as meetings, pharmaceutical rep, luncheons, things of that nature, where you need to block the time on your calendar, but it doesn't need to be linked to a patient, and you don't need an encounter that was going to be arrived. Now, if we change the type to patient, our binocular is going to search for patient appointments. This is all-inclusive of all doctors, all locations within the practice. And notice that we even go as far back as 2011, 2012. The appointment search is all-inclusive and cumulative of every appointment that has been created and not yet arrived, deleted or canceled, or marked as a no-show. This is useful when you're getting phone calls, for instance. Let's say our patient Olivia Pope phones, and she knows she has an appointment coming up that she needs to cancel, but she can't remember when. This is a very quick way to see what appointment she's referring to so that you can quickly cancel it or reschedule it. Maybe she wants to take that August 25th and push it into September. So by selecting it from the list, it will take you to that specific calendar date, and then you can reschedule the appointment accordingly. Now, with regards to the accumulation of back appointments showing, there is a system property you can set that will auto no-show appointments after X number of days. Then they would not continue to show up here. Once they have been flagged as a no-show or arrived, they would fall off. For those of you using the practice management module, there are other properties to consider in conjunction with that as to how you are going to bill those no-show claims. The Add New would allow us to create a new appointment, and we will get to that in a separate module. The Rewind arrow allows you to view a patient's appointment history. That also is going to be covered in a separate module. And then you have the ability of printing a patient receipt. This will only be enabled if you are using the practice management module and is not for the sake of capturing an upfront copayment, but rather allows you to collect the patient receipts for outstanding receivables on the billing side. Now moving down the left-hand margin of our calendar, we have a section here called To Be Confirmed. This is actually a call list with various options as accessed through the telephone. And we will actually be covering this in a separate video within this series. In the middle on the left, we have a calendar. The T allows us to always come back to the current date. The navigation arrow to the left will go for previous, a month at a time or a year at a time. And then on the right-hand side, we can go future, a month at a time or a year at a time. We also can click directly on any day we want to view. The pink color on the calendar represents a day off. That comes from settings where either the clinic is closed or it is a holiday that the clinic observes. Now down here in the lower left, when you initially launch the screen and you do not have an appointment selected, it is empty. And all you can do is create a patient alert or a patient note. Both of those icons, when a patient is not selected, will invoke a name search. Those are covered in separate videos. When you choose an appointment, however, we will just go ahead and choose Bruce Alexander. Now notice in the lower left it is now populated. We have access to Bruce's chart, but then we also have a series of functions related to Bruce so that we can arrive him, we can modify his insurance, order labs, take e-signatures, and things of that nature. Now over here on the right-hand side, we talked about the daily, weekly view options at the beginning, the provider and the locations, and you can pick and choose throughout your views as to how you want to look at it. And incidentally, the actual viewing area of the schedule is based upon the physician work pattern. That is covered in a separate video within this series. To the right of that is a block time schedule. This allows you to block time for the provider that you are viewing. Creating a time block and rescheduling appointments is covered in a separate video within this series. We've also got a printer icon. This will allow us to print the calendar that we are looking at. Now when you click this printer icon, it will prompt you to direct it to a printer. You cannot modify it. If you need to create custom reports relevant to the appointment, it will be up here under the appointment report option, which is discussed in a separate video within the series. Over here on the far right then, we have a refresh icon. Unlike your home page, which auto refreshes every 60 seconds, the schedule page does not auto refresh. So once you have loaded it, it is static until you refresh it. When there are multiple people working the front desk, especially in a busy office or in a centralized scheduling, you may want to get in the habit of refreshing your screen if it has been several moments since you loaded it initially. That way you're not trying to choose the same appointment slot as your coworker. And then you have the ability here to go from a different day to a future date. At the very bottom, we have a Legends button. The Legends button will explain to you or define for you the various colors in the color coding. Notice that there is color coding based on appointment slots that have not been utilized yet. Locations, which is coming from the work pattern defined for the provider. And then the encounter types once you start actually booking appointments. And there's also a count button at the bottom. So based on the calendar view you're looking at, it will give you a day by provider, by location count of appointments. Now if you'll notice the time column here on our calendar, we're displayed in 15-minute increments per hour. This is the system default, but it is a user-definable property in increments of 5 minutes. So based upon how you time your appointments, you can change this accordingly so that your time slots match up to your encounter types. Now another benefit I would like to show you as I move my cursor across my schedule. When I hit a patient name, you will notice that a tooltip pops up. This tooltip is customizable as to the data elements you would like present on there. And it's a convenience so that you can quickly scan a patient's details that are pertinent for you without actually selecting it. You notice if I click Miranda Presley down here in the lower left, I'm able to view her pertinent data. But maybe I don't want to actually click an appointment. So I know she's on the schedule, I simply hover my mouse over. And you can quickly see there what the phone number is, the reason for the visit, the insurance, their balance due, and so on. So whatever information your front office members need at a quick glance can be added onto that tooltip. You may also notice in some of my appointments, I have these indicators, a V, a C, and a P. For instance, here on Richard Castle, Sally Windows has a C and a P, but instead of a V, she has a hyphen. Up here for Olivia Pope, we have a P, but there's no C or V, there are hyphens. For Derek Abdomen, there are no symbols present, only hyphens. This is property-based, based on activities at a patient appointment level, such as if you are using the patient portal and the patient has completed their intake form, there will be a P present. The C indicates that appointment has been confirmed, and the V means that insurance eligibility has been verified. So again, at the beginning of your day, your front desk can quickly scan through the schedule and see if there's any elements missing from the upcoming patients for that day. So in review, Appointment Schedule provides you with the ability to navigate through daily, weekly, or custom views. You're able to define the preferred time increment in your display area in intervals of 5 minutes. You can select a doctor's calendar by day, month, or year. Whichever view you choose, the provider's work pattern and vacations will be color-coded by their location and the encounter type based on their availability. All appointments will have a customizable tooltip that you can easily hover over to glance quickly pertinent details. There will also be activity status flags such as confirmed appointment, patient paperwork completed, and insurance eligibility verified. Once you've chosen an appointment on the calendar, you'll have direct links to the patient's chart as well as clinical features. In addition, you will have access to call list options and patient reminders, the ability to block time and reschedule appointments, as well as to print the schedule. That concludes this video within the series. Please click the appropriate link below for your next step. If you'd like to take a quiz, you will receive your results in real time directly on the screen so that you can see how well you've done. If you answer incorrectly, the system will prompt you with the correct response. In addition, a confidential email will be sent to the education team to help us better serve you with our educational offerings. Second, advance to the next video within the series you're currently in. And finally, return to the video library main page. As always, feel free to contact us through the Resource Center or email with any additional questions or comments.